Welcome back to Tales of the Dark. Tonight's story isn't about a haunted house, it isn't about some cursed cabin hidden in the woods, and it isn't about a road that leads nowhere. Tonight, we are talking about a place almost everyone has visited, a gas station. Bright lights, snacks on the shelves, coffee on the burner, a place that feels safe because it's open all night. But what if the lights are the only safe thing there? What if after midnight, you realize the cameras saw someone before you did? If you've ever walked into a gas station late at night and felt something was wrong the second the door opened, you keep listening because this happened to me, and I still don't stop for gas after dark. I was 21 when I took the job. Community college during the day, night shift on weekends. The station sat off an old highway about 30 minutes outside town, no neighborhood nearby, no restaurants, no houses, just one gas station, a cracked parking lot and miles of road disappearing into fields. The pay was decent. The work was easy. Most nights I stocked shelves, cleaned counters and sold energy drinks to truckers. By 1 a.m., traffic usually died. By 2 a.m., it felt like the whole world forgot the place existed. My manager, Carl, trained me for 2 nights, then left me alone. Before he walked out on my first solo shift, he stopped at the door and said something strange. "If the cameras freeze, don't go outside." I laughed. He didn't. Then he left. I figured it was some weird joke, old manager humor. By midnight, everything was normal. A couple passing through bought coffee. One truck driver used the restroom. A teenager came in for cigarettes with a fake ID so obvious it was almost insulting. Then the parking lot emptied. The road went silent. The fluorescent lights above the aisles buzzed softly. Coffee burned on the warmer, and I was alone. At 2:13 a.m., every security monitor behind the counter flickered, then froze. 6 camera feeds, pump 1, pump 2, parking lot, back door, aisle 3, front entrance, all stuck on still images. I sighed, old system. I tapped the screen, nothing. Then every frozen image updated at once, and my stomach dropped. A man was standing outside, visible in every camera angle. Same man, same posture, same dark clothes, same pale face. On pump 1 camera, he stood beside the trash can. On parking lot camera, he stood near the ice freezer. On entrance camera, he stood directly in front of the door. On aisle 3 camera, he was inside the store. I stared at the screens. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. That wasn't possible. I looked up from the monitors and scanned the aisles. No one. I looked through the front windows, no one outside. Empty lot, still road, nothing moving. Then the automatic door slid open. No chime, just opened slowly. Cold air drifted in. I waited for someone to step through. No one did. The door closed again. I grabbed my phone and texted Carl. "Cameras are messed up." Door opened by itself. No reply. I checked the monitors again. The man was closer now, on every screen, always facing the camera, always still, but closer. Pump camera, closer. Entrance camera, closer. Aisle camera, closer, like each camera was capturing a different step toward me. Then the coffee machine behind me beeped. I jumped so hard I nearly yelled. The pot was empty, but dark liquid was dripping into it. Slow, thick. I stepped closer. It wasn't coffee, it was black, like oil, and it smelled rotten. I backed away immediately. The automatic door opened again. This time the chime rang, one cheerful ding in a dead silent store. I looked up, still no one there. Then I heard footsteps, wet footsteps from aisle 3. One step, pause, another step, pause. Like someone walking carefully across tile. I forced myself to look down the aisle. Nothing, but items on the lower shelf were moving, tiny nudges, as if something invisible brushed past them. I ran behind the counter and grabbed the baseball bat Carl kept under the register. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Then my phone buzzed. Carl finally replied, only 3 words, "Don't let him in." I typed back instantly, "Who?" No answer. The footsteps stopped. The store went silent again. I slowly looked toward the front windows. There, reflected in the glass behind me, a man was standing at the counter, right behind me. I spun around so fast the bat slipped in my hands. No one. The space behind the counter was empty, just cigarette racks, lottery tickets, the humming refrigerator by the drinks. Nothing else, but I know what I saw. A reflection doesn't invent details. I saw a man standing so close behind me that if I had leaned back even an inch, I would have touched him. My chest tightened. I kept the bat raised and backed away from the glass. The front windows reflected the whole store. Aisles, counter, door, and me, only me, no second figure, no movement. Then the security monitors crackled again. I looked over. Every camera feed was black, not frozen, black except one, the back storeroom camera. A grainy view of the metal door behind the shelves. The handle was slowly turning. I stared, barely breathing. The handle stopped, then turned the other direction, stopped again, then shook violently, as if someone on the other side was trying every possible way to get in. I whispered to myself, no, no, no. That storeroom only opened from inside the store. There was no exterior entrance, no alley door, no loading dock, nothing outside except brick wall and dumpsters, yet something was trying to come through it. My phone buzzed again. Carl, I answered immediately. Carl, what is happening? All I heard was breathing, heavy breathing, then his voice low and shaky. Listen to me carefully. I'm listening. Do not open the back room. I wasn't planning to. I'm serious. Whatever you hear, whatever it says, do not open that door. The handle on the monitor slammed downward hard enough to blur the image. I nearly dropped the phone. Carl, who is that? Silence. Then he said, it should have stopped after Daniel. Who's Daniel? The last guy who worked your shift. My throat went dry. Carl had never mentioned anyone before me. You said he quit. He did. What does that mean? Carl didn't answer immediately. When he spoke again, his voice sounded far away. He walked into the back room during his shift, and the cameras showed him leaving. A long pause, but I never found him. The line crackled, then disconnected. I stared at the screen. No signal, no bars, nothing. The store suddenly felt 10 times larger. And I felt very small inside it. The backroom camera went black. Now all 6 feeds were dead. Then something banged from the storeroom. One massive hit, metal on metal. The shelves beside the door rattled. Another bang, then another. The whole wall shuddered. I moved away instinctively, gripping the bat with both hands. Then it stopped. Complete silence. I could hear the buzzing lights again, the cooler compressor kicking on, my own breathing. I waited 30 seconds, a minute, nothing. Then a soft knock came from the storeroom. 3 polite taps, tap, tap. Tap, I almost laughed from nerves. Whatever was pounding moments ago was now knocking like a guest. Then a voice came through the metal door, my voice. Hey, it's me. Every hair on my arms rose. Very funny, I whispered, though no one could hear me. Then again, my voice, perfectly mine. Open up, I need help. I backed away so fast I knocked over a display of gum. The voice continued, still mine, still calm. You locked me in here. Then it started coughing, my cough. The exact way I cough when my throat gets dry. Then it spoke again, weaker this time. Please. I covered my ears. I knew it wasn't me, I knew it. But hearing your own voice beg for help does something to your brain. The automatic front door slid open. I looked up sharply. A customer walked in, an older truck driver wearing a denim jacket. Real, solid, human. I almost cried from relief. He stopped when he saw my face. You all right, son? I nodded too fast. Yeah, system issue. He glanced around the store. Then toward the back hallway. The knocking had stopped the second he entered. He walked to the coffee station, poured a cup, then looked at me again. You alone tonight? Yeah, he frowned. That's not smart. I wanted to ask why. I wanted to tell him everything. But pride makes people stupid. I just shrugged. He added sugar slowly, then said without looking at me, if someone asks to come in, don't answer. I felt cold all over. You know about this place? He stirred his coffee. I know roads, places near roads collect things. What things? He looked at the dark front windows. People who don't keep driving. Then he set money on the counter, didn't wait for change, and left. I rushed to the door to watch him go. His truck was parked at pump 2, engine running. But when he climbed inside and drove off, the headlights behind the wheel belonged to someone much taller than him. I stumbled backward. The truck pulled onto the highway and vanished into darkness. The second it disappeared, the store lights dimmed, then brightened, then dimmed again. Emergency power flickered on. Half the building glowed red from backup lights. The other half fell into shadow. And in that shadow at the far end of aisle 3, the man from the cameras was standing there, tall, still, facing me. I finally saw him with my own eyes, dark jacket, pale skin. Hands hanging too low at his sides. His face looked normal at first glance. Eyes, nose, mouth, but something about the spacing was wrong, like features arranged by memory rather than anatomy. He took one step forward. I swung the bat at the shelf beside me just to hear noise. The crack echoed through the store. When I looked back, he was gone. I heard something rolling on the floor. A can of soup crossed the tile by itself and tapped against my shoe. I looked down. Written on the label in black marker were 2 words, "Let me in." Then the storeroom handle began turning again. Slowly, smoothly, not violent this time. Confident, the lock clicked. I froze. That lock required a key. I was holding the only key. The handle lowered. The door opened 1 inch. Cold blackness beyond it. A smell drifted out. Wet dirt, rotting wood. Rainwater and something sweet underneath, like perfume left too long in a closed room. The gap widened another inch, then another. I ran forward and slammed it shut with my shoulder. Something on the other side shoved back instantly, hard enough to shake my bones. I screamed and threw the deadbolt, then dragged a rack of motor oil in front of it. Another hit from inside, then another. The rack jumped, bottles toppled, oil spread across the floor like blood. I backed away panting. Then the front door chimed again. A woman entered carrying an umbrella, mid-30s, business clothes, hair wet from rain, except there had been no rain all night. She smiled politely. Still open, I couldn't speak. She glanced at the blocked storeroom door, then at the black oil on the floor, then back to me. Busy night, something pounded once from behind the metal door. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she walked to the counter and leaned close enough for me to smell damp earth on her clothes. Then she whispered, "If he gets out, he wears your face first." I staggered backward. The lights went completely out. Darkness swallowed everything. Then, somewhere in the black behind the counter, I heard my own voice say, "Can you help me?" The power stayed out for 3 full seconds. But in fear, 3 seconds can feel like a lifetime. I couldn't see the woman. Couldn't see the counter, couldn't see my own hands. All I could hear was breathing. Mine and another set somewhere close. Then the emergency lights kicked back on. Red light flooded the store, weak, uneven, enough to see shapes. The woman was gone, no umbrella, no footsteps. No front door chime, just gone. The blocked storeroom door stood perfectly still. Motor oil bottles scattered around it, black liquid creeping across the floor. And behind the counter, someone was crouching. I raised the bat. My hands were trembling so badly the wood tapped against the register. The figure slowly stood up. It was me, my face, my height, my clothes, my hair, every detail. It even held itself the way I did when nervous. Head slightly forward, shoulders tense. I couldn't breathe. The thing smiled, but not correctly, too wide, too many teeth visible. Then it spoke in my voice. "See, I told you I needed help." I swung the bat hard. It stepped aside before I moved, not reacted, predicted. The bat smashed the cigarette rack behind it. Boxes rained down. When I looked up, it was standing 6 feet away now. No sound, no footsteps, just there. It tilted its head at me, then copied the exact terrified expression on my face. Perfectly, I backed away toward the entrance. The automatic door didn't open. I waved my arm in front of the sensor. Nothing. The thing watched with amusement. Then it began walking toward me, not fast, slow, confident, like it knew time belonged to it. I grabbed a display stand and hurled it. It crashed into the aisle. The thing stepped through the falling snacks without breaking stride, still smiling. Then the storeroom door exploded inward. The deadbolt tore free. The rack toppled sideways. Darkness poured out of the room like smoke, and shapes moved inside it. Tall shapes, thin shapes, standing shoulder to shoulder. Watching from the black, the thing wearing my face turned toward them. Its smile faded for the first time. It looked nervous. One long arm emerged from the storeroom shadows. Grey skin, bent fingers, it reached for the copy of me. The copy hissed, actually hissed, then lunged toward me instead. I dodged. It hit the glass entrance hard enough to crack it. I ran for the counter and vaulted over it. My phone was charging beside the register. I grabbed it, 1 bar of signal. I dialed Carl, straight to voicemail. I called 911, nothing, no connection. Behind me, shelves crashed. The thing was coming again. I crawled under the counter and found Carl's old toolbox. Inside were receipts, wires, tape, and a revolver. I stared at it, hands shaking. 1 bullet in the chamber, that was it. 1, the copy crouched on the other side of the counter. My own eyes looking into mine through the gap. It whispered softly, "You won't shoot yourself," then laughed in my voice. I fired through the register. The blast deafened me. Glass shattered. Sparks flew. The copy screamed, not human. A layered shriek like several voices tearing at once. I scrambled up. Half its face was gone, but underneath there was no bone, no blood, only black moving shapes writhing where flesh should be. It stumbled backward toward aisle 3. Then the long grey arm from the storeroom seized it by the neck and dragged it screaming into the dark. Silence, absolute silence. Then all the store lights came back on, bright white, normal. The hum of refrigerators returned. Coffee machine beeped. Front door slid open by itself. Morning sunlight spilled across the tile. I stood there shaking, revolver hanging in my hand. Outside, birds were singing. Cars drove past on the highway. A man at pump 1 was filling his truck like nothing had happened. I looked at the clock. 6:02 a.m. My shift was over. I ran outside gasping for air. The world looked normal, too normal. Carl's pickup pulled into the lot 10 minutes later. He got out slowly, tired eyes, coffee in hand. He saw the broken glass through the window and sighed like a man seeing weather he expected. "You opened it?" He asked. No. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Good," I shouted at him. I told him about the woman, the copy, the storeroom, the gun, everything. Carl listened quietly, then said the words I still hear at night. "It's not the room." "What?" "It's the shift." I stared at him. He pointed at the sunrise. "Some places sit on roads no one remembers. People pass through carrying things, regret, grief, anger, fear. Sometimes those things stop here. That doesn't explain what I saw." He took a sip of coffee. "No, it explains why it saw you. I quit on the spot, didn't take my last paycheck, didn't go back. A month later, the station burned down. Electrical fire, they said, total loss, no injuries, no employees inside. I felt relief for the first time since that night. Then 2 years later, driving through another state, I stopped for gas around midnight. Different highway, different town, different building. I walked inside, bright lights, coffee on the burner, snacks on the shelves, normal, until I glanced at the security monitors behind the counter. 6 camera feeds. And in every single one, a man was standing outside, facing the camera, wearing my face. If you are new here, subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare. And if you've ever worked somewhere that felt wrong after dark, share your story below.